Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be sharing with you guys how you can actually work with a real estate agent to represent you on new construction or new build home buys. So, a lot of people have a misconception on whether or not they have to spend more money to work with a real estate agent if they're looking to purchase a new construction home. So, in today's podcast, we're going to be covering this topic with you guys here today and actually give you guys some of the truths and also dispel some of the myths as well. So my name is Kobe Zinn, and I'm joined here today by real estate professionals in the great state of Texas, Tony Flores and Andres Martinez. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Great. Great. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. And we had a local event here in Houston of real estate investors and agents yesterday. So we had a great time to be in proximity and also create a lot of great networking opportunities as well. So yeah, how about you guys? You guys have anything new going on? I know it's been a pretty good couple of weeks in the real estate market.
Right. Yeah, just honing in on some new training, some different things that I'm getting involved with. So pretty exciting. We've wrapped up my seniors real estate specialist training. So I am officially, a SRES along with my GRI and short sale resource as well. So yeah, pretty cool things. I'm working really, just my focus really is on people that are involved in probate and people that need to sell, things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats on getting the certification. I know it's great to always kind of continue expanding your knowledge as well. So that's great, Tony. Congrats on that. And how about you, Andres? You got anything going on? I know you've been super busy this past week with a lot of activity.
Yeah, so I just been trying to just keep building the network, keep trying to help realtors grow their business, try to help people buy their first time home, and just educate people and just be an asset. If anyone's looking for a property, sometimes it could be investors. So just educating the realtors on how if they do have investors, the opportunities that I could present to them.
Nice. Yeah, I know there's been quite a bit of activity in the market, especially coming into the fall season, which is for a lot of people it's not the normal activity season, but this year is a little bit different. So it's great that you guys are doing awesome in the market and continuing to expand and grow your networks. But let's dig into today's topic, right? So just to kind of give you guys who are listening or watching this a little bit of background. So Tony is a real estate agent, and Andres is a former real estate agent and now a real estate new construction homes sales rep. So we're going to be able to get both perspectives of this from the new home builder side and also the real estate agent side as well. So Andres, why don't we kind of start with you and you can kind of give us your thoughts on this. But do you hear a lot of people in the marketplace who are potentially looking to purchase a new construction home, but are concerned about potentially working with their own real estate agent representing them because they think they might have to pay additional commissions or come out of pocket with more money?
So one of the things that most people could uh, be calm or have their mind at ease is that as far as new home builders, they're still paying the commission for the buyer's real estate agent. So there's not a pro or a con for moving forward or for using a real estate agent. Where I think it benefits them is when you have a real estate agent, they're able to help you navigate through the process. They're able to help you gather documents prior. So therefore, everything is a lot easier and a lot straightforward once you move forward with the house that you fall in love with.
Yeah, exactly. So there's benefits to working with an agent, right? Especially on new construction properties where you're the buyer going in there and you want to make sure you're represented. So pretty much the same thing for you, Tony. On the agent side, you can talk maybe a little bit more about what you guys are doing for people who are looking to purchase new construction homes, and also what have you seen just from the clients you've personally represented or other agents that have represented clients purchasing new build homes. whether or not the clients are actually coming out of pocket or paying more money by working with an agent.
Right. So the great thing about working with a realtor in with new home construction is you're really getting someone that's not only representing you but also kind of helping give you a little bit more insight and a little bit more perspective on what you're deciding on purchasing. The good thing is, again, we work with multiple builders, and we can kind of help, say, okay, what is it you're best looking for? What would you like? What are your features? Um, what are you trying to find? In one case, like more recently, I had some buyers that were trying to get as little out of pocket as possible. Like they wanted to put almost nothing down. And so I was able to help them navigate them to, okay, this is what's a community right here that has special incentives. So that was a USDA community. All right. So we looked at that community. They really liked it. And it was from a builder that I've worked with in the past, good relationship with them. They we also, one of the things that I was able to point out to them, during our community walkthrough is like, okay, so this is good area. It's an area that you like the floor plan. And so we had another community that we were planning on looking at. So I said, okay, the difference here, we actually happen to be just the houses that were available at that time, they were on the opposite side, just the back side of a railroad, right? So I said, okay, so this is one of the things you want to consider. They said, oh, we didn't actually notice it because there were trees were lined up there. So they're focused on the house, but I'm looking at the whole picture, right? So I'm saying, okay, just know that, this could be an issue for you down the road. I did ask the sales rep, okay, how often does the train pass by here? What could they expect if they actually happen to be living in this community? So he was able to tell me kind of what the expectations might be in that area, and it was something that they hadn't really seen or didn't really pick out, but I was able to point to that. Um, Other times, something as simple as, okay, so let's see where the sun is. Okay, so the sun's gonna come up over here, and it's gonna set behind you. So if you want if you want your house to be positioned where you're seeing the sun on sundown, is that good for you, or is that something you'd rather be on the opposite side? You'd be, we're in Texas, so is that a consideration? Just different things like that besides what the features are in the house. It's just different things. Another example, okay, we're looking at four houses in this one particular community. Some of them are a little bit elevated, they have steps up. Okay, is there anybody in your family that potentially, would have some mobility issues because, there's steps in the garage going up to the house, there's steps going up to the porch? Is that a consideration for you, or would that be a consideration for you in the time that you're living in this house? So throwing out different things like that when we're looking side by side and house by house are those considerations. And so it's just kind of just trying to churn up anything that could be an issue that they don't foresee, besides what kind of builders have, what incentives, features, and things like that. So those are some things that I feel like I add more value to in a typical type of walkthrough.
Yeah, it's really interesting you brought that up as far as like the positioning of the home, even could be something that a lot of potential buyers don't think of, or that's not something that comes to mind, or at least not the first thing when they're
Right.
going around shopping for homes. Because on theirs, I know we were having a conversation about this, I think offline one time, about a buyer or a group of buyers that you were working with who, because I think cultural preferences, right, were actually looking for specific positions on where their home needs to be facing. Care to kind of explain a little bit about that and how, as a new home sales rep, you're able to help those clients.
So when working with a client like a foreign national, right? Their belief or their religious beliefs, um, they believe that certain houses shouldn't be positioned or that a door shouldn't lead to another door, right? And they have their reasoning behind it. But say you were a real estate agent, right? You would be able to call you would be able to call the new builder's rep, ask them, hey, how many houses do you got that meet this criteria? At that point, when you're bringing your client, you're bringing them to properties you know that are going to work for them, and you're not driving around the city looking for that specific criteria. So I think that's where having a real estate agent benefits their clients.
So your agent is able to help you basically almost kind of narrow down based on your criterias, right? And I mean, as a new home sales rep, maybe you can touch on this a little bit as well. The experience of working with clients with agents versus those who come in without agents, and what is there a difference there? And if there is, what do you actually see as far as being from the builder side? Does it make your job maybe a little bit easier to have an agent there to kind of collaborate with in that transaction?
I think there's a lot of situations where when you have an agent, it facilitates the whole transaction. So if you're an agent and you're working with an investor, right? If I was an investor, if I'm not even in the city or even in that state, I need someone with eyes, a set of professional eyes to kind of make sure they secure a property that I like. They get on either Zoom or they could get on a video call, and go over the specifics. And that real estate agent could be your eyes on the ground that could point out stuff that might work. Another thing is when an investor is working from outside of Texas, here in Texas, just understanding the market, understanding communities, what side of town, because that investor has to understand where he's investing his money and what he's going to target as a future renter. So that real estate agent um, helps a lot by being knowledgeable with that builder and that area.
Right. So you're talking about people who are looking to buy, or they're looking to invest, but they're not physically at the location yet, right? And as in, somebody who has an agent, that person can actually help represent them better by being their boots on the ground and looking at these properties and helping them analyze them as well. So that's a really good benefit and value for an agent. And kind of back to you, Tony. Just from your point of view as a real estate agent who collaborates with new home sales reps and new builders as well. Is there any difference from just the real estate agent's perspective representing a buyer, working directly with new homes or new home builders versus an existing home and a listing agent? Is there any difference between the two, or is it pretty much the same process, but you're still able to provide value to their buyer clients by representing them to the best of your abilities?
Yeah. So really the difference between working with a listing agent and, say, for instance, a new home sales rep, at the end of the day, the sales rep has a really wide and deep product knowledge of their homes. A lot of them do, and those are the ones that I like to work best with. And so we can kind of get into the details of those specific house. Now, with a listing agent in a pre-existing home, the listing agent will have a good knowledge, but actually the more knowledge they have about the house actually might actually backfire, because they might end up finding out something about the house that might not be in the most positive light. So that could hurt the sale of the property. When you're working with a new home build, of course, the new home build is going to offer warranties. It's going to offer, typically, it's going to kind of have like what we call like a bumper to bumper warranty. It's going to have first year. You can kind of pick out things that you wanted that might have been missed, or might still be something loose, maybe the roof or different things like that. And 2 years would be things like the appliances, a water heater, things like that. Then you go to a 10-year foundation warranty, foundation, and then structure. This is for a lot of the builders. I think I mentioned in the past where, as we were doing a offer on a pre-owned home, this pre-owned home was just under 2 years old. The inspector saw some issues with the frame. They saw issues with the electrical panel. Those fell under the warranty of the builder, so my seller didn't have to come out of pocket for them, save them a lot of money. It's also another tip: make sure if you do own a new home, you want to know when those warranties start coming up or when they are going to end. You got to get an inspection before those new home warranties end. So if you're coming up on that 2 year mark, get it, a year and 8 months down the road, re-inspect your home. Whatever they find, a lot of times the builders will cover those things, and you want to know ahead because, what if you're selling at year 4 and those things could be covered now. So yeah, working with the new home sales rep, they're very knowledgeable. And a lot of them, they can, so if they're, say for instance, their home base is in one community, a lot of times if you have a good relationship with them, you want to continue to use them, you can ask them, hey, are you able to show us home? Because their buyer likes that home, likes the floor plans, like the models, like the features. Can you show us a home, a couple of miles away? And they have the ability in most cases to go ahead and show those homes as well. And so you can kind of help develop your relationship with those new home sales reps. And so you have a better working relationship and continue to work with great people. That's one of the benefits. So if you're working with a listing agent, for instance, you're not going to take them from that home to another home unless they have 50 listings. So that's one of the benefits of working with realtors, working with new home sales.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting that you brought up that point, because now I'm thinking, as a buyer, you're going into maybe looking to purchase specifically new construction homes. There are people with that criteria, right? When they go to an agent like yourself, Tony, you have pre-existing relationships in the market with new home sales reps, right? With different builders, right? I mean, obviously you guys get on this, get on this podcast every week, and we collaborate every week on a weekly basis. We have a great relationship. So is that something that you can offer to people as far as your pre-existing relationships with different new home sales reps? Who's going to take care of their clients better, who's going to work better with them, and by them going through you, they can kind of tap into your network of not just builders but the actual sales reps that you think are going to work best with that specific client.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, because as you spend more time in these communities, you get to know them, you kind of see how responsive they are. Of course, when you're working on behalf of your client, your buyer, you want to be able to work with those new home sales counselors that are going to be responsive, that are going to be knowledgeable, and giving you the information. One of the great things that the new home sales reps will have a kind of a community profile, and some of them I actually have saved from one community to the next. So it'll tell you kind of where you get your water from, what the tax rates are, who supplies the electricity or gas, things
Hospital.
like that. So those are some great things, some really cool things to be able to say. Now, if you're going in without a realtor, you might not know to ask for, hey, can you give me the community profile sheet, things like that. So working with a realtor, of course, I'm going to already either have already asked for it when we're planning on, and that's typically what I'll do is I'll get that and I'll send it via email or send it via text. Hey, here's what the community looks like. Also, I'll set up floor plans in their kind of, you're looking for 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, whatever the case is. I'll shoot some floor plans. And what I'll do is besides shooting them over so they have a good picture of it, I'll actually print them out and I will write the address on those floor plans. Hey, this floor plan is going to be 3223 and also 3421, and then the name of the street. So so as we're looking at those, as we're going through the community, hey, this is this floor plan. You want to see this? That's the floor plan of this other address right over here. So it's just an easier way for them to say, oh yeah, this is the floor plan I like. Or now that they're here in the community, they can see, well, I thought I liked this one, but now I'm seeing the way this is laid out. I actually like this one better. So those are some of the things, again, as a realtor, the way I help prepare for those community walkthroughs.
Uh, yeah, so that's, I mean, it's a ton of value to work with somebody who represents you and also has the network of other new build sales reps that can actually, provide more information and help the buyers actually get into a home that and a community that actually matches their criteria. So, kind of jumping back to you on that, as from the new home sales rep and the new build builder's perspective, are you guys, because of with all that's going on and the changes in the NAR compensation settlement for buyers agents, are you guys requiring anything more or anything new from agents that are representing buyers? Do you guys require some type of buyer representation agreement in order to begin working with potential clients that are using an agent to represent them, or is it pretty much business as usual from the past?
So, in most of our contracts, there is realtor representation acknowledgement. So, if a realtor is representing you, the client has to acknowledge it, the sales counselor has to acknowledge it, and the buyer and the realtor, everyone has to acknowledge that form. So, it's already built into our contract. So, as far as if that's acknowledged, then we're able to compensate the commission to the buyer's agent.
So it's pretty much an all the agreement's already built in, right? So it pretty much solves a big problem, I think, for that the NAR settlement was trying to solve in itself, right? Which is people are not acknowledging that the agent is representing the buyer, and then the compensation is essentially vague, right? So you guys are making it very very specific, as you are acknowledging it as the new home sales counselor, the buyer themselves have acknowledged it, and also of course the agent acknowledges that in the contract. Is that correct?
Yes, so all entities that are in the contract acknowledge that specific form.
I think, really the best practice for the consumer and for the builder, because different builders have different policies. I think it's really important that the consumer, the buyer, knows that having a representation going into the new home builds is important, because in some cases, there are some builders who will say, you know what, since you didn't have something before you stepped in here, you didn't have a representation agreement, they might be less likely to compensate your sales rep, which means that it could, in that case, it could cost more, or the realtor isn't going to be able to represent you because the builder isn't compensating, and so it's really not a good idea to put that at risk. Best practice is really to get a buyer's rep agreement signed before going in to see the builder, and also going to the builder with your realtor on the first visit. That's very, very important to a lot of builders. They want to be able to know that that realtor would be the person that essentially initiated that visit. If you show up, even though you might have a realtor, if you show up and the realtor's not present, some builders may not acknowledge that you're what they call procuring cause of them visiting. So if you, for your best chance of getting that full representation for your realtor to be compensated, is to have a buyer's rep agreement signed ahead of time, so that everything's clear from the get-go, and it's signed, potentially the day before or the day of, but before you go to see the builder.
I think it should be done the day of uh, when you first sit down and have the first meeting with your clients. I think it's one of the things that needs to be done before you share any information on real estate, right? Because you're going to be representing them. You are bringing them value, so that should be done prior to anything working with real estate. Um, and then, like Tony said, I agree. If a realtor wants to be compensated, he does have to show up and with the client and see some of the homes, right? And then if they choose one of those homes, then he physically represented that client. So I agree with what Tony said. I would, when I was a realtor, I always had a buyer's rep, and that's the way you just protect yourself, guys. That's the best way to do business as a realtor. And as far as protecting your client, that's the best way to protect your client. So I agree with Tony there. And then making sure that acknowledgement gets signed. Um, I am going to be pretty forthcoming. Most new home builders want to take care of realtors because they understand how important the relationship is, right? They understand um, how realtors want to take care of their clients, but we also want to service their clients and we want to be able to sell them a home and hopefully be a part of their home buying journey. So there is a value there. Most new builders, I'm not going to say all, but most new home builders are going to want to make sure they take care of that real estate agent.
Hmm.
Right. And that's good, right? I mean, people in the industry tend to want to work together. And if you come across people like that, it's usually a good sign of having, because these people are connected, they're also putting the client's best interest at first. So those are all actually really good tips, right? If you are in the market or if you are a real estate agent looking to represent potential buyer clients going into new construction homes, is make sure you get that buyer's representation agreement signed with your real estate agent, because that's how you establish relationship and that's how you make sure that your agent is fully representing you and you're protected through that agreement
And
as
why
well.
and why not do business with somebody who is very forthcoming and they're wanting you to have that representation throughout the process, right? That actually it benefits everyone in the transaction. So I think it's a good thing. And hey, I love realtors.
Awesome. Well, cool. You guys have, do you guys either have anything, either of you have anything else to add for today's episode before we wrap up for today? Is there any last pieces of advice, any last tips on anybody who is looking to potentially be in the market for a new construction home?
I think the only thing I would add would be, again, just having another set of eyes, someone that sees a lot of new construction is always really important. The other benefit of bringing a realtor with you to a new construction community is I get updates from builders reps, constantly. I'm getting text messages, I'm getting emails. We get list of properties that have been on market longer. There's some communities, as Andres has mentioned, that will have maybe some inventory that's been on the market longer. It's similar to if you go to a grocery store, there's not necessarily a discontinued product, but maybe they have an overstock. There's an area of overstock, and that those houses that have been on inventory for a longer period of time, those are the ones that the builders want to incentivize and do different things for. You might get different things like appliance packages or the window blinds, some things like that. So those are some things that I can help. Hey, if you like this house, very similar one, right over here has a really really great price, and you get bonuses for this, or you might have interest rate buy downs. Andres, their communities, a lot of them are providing different things like that as well. So just being able to have those relationships with builders reps and conveying them, sharing that with my clients is also really something that I really like to do as well.
Awesome. Andres, anything else you want to add?
Yes, so even when I was out servicing clients as a realtor, I remember showing a lot of houses, a lot of existing homes. The market was tough, um, and just finding homes that were affordable for people was tough. One thing that I can always count on is the relationships I built with new sales counselors. I can always call one or two of them. Hey, I've been looking all day. We're exhausted. We're hungry, right? We might be at a Starbucks getting coffee and eating some cookies or pastries, right? And we're exhausted. And I reach out to a new home builder, right? And that new home builder was like, "Hey, I just have a house. It just came back. It meets that criteria." I was able to motivate my clients after a long day. They're kind of discouraged, um, and we were just looking for some good news. I was able to give them good news. The that new sales counselor was willing to stay after hours to help us, and they got under contract. They now have lived in their home for years. They always say how they're real appreciative of how that relationship with that specific real estate counselor helped them accomplish their dream, and they live in their dream home. So the good thing is, when you're working with a realtor, if a realtor has those relationships with the new construction builders and the sales counselors, maybe after a long day and you're getting beat up, right? And we're getting there's an offer on this one, or um, we found a foundation issue, or something happened that wasn't positive information. Sometimes it could the new home sales rep could be your last option, and he might be able to help your clients accomplish their goal and help the realtor accomplish their goal with that, is to help them uh, along their home journey, right? So having those relationships really benefits, because there's sometimes, guys, we all been out there, we've been in markets where, hey, we can't find a home and we need that olive branch. So I always love being that olive branch now.
Nice. I love it. That's actually really good information. So if you guys are in the market listening to this or watching this for a new construction home, make sure to take some of this advice and this counsel to heart and reach out to Tony or Andres here in the description down below. Their contact information is always there. So guys, make sure to reach out to them and they'll be able to help you out and represent you in the best capacity to get you into your home or whatever real estate needs that you need as well. But appreciate you guys as always. Appreciate you for tuning into the Real Estate Roundup, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Take care.